So Metella goes, Palestinians need a new president. Yeah, I agree. I'd like to replace all the leadership. The question is, what can Palestinians do, or what can Israelis do to get a boss out of it? It's not quite clear. Tal, do you have any? I mean, you know, I frame it as very complex with no clear solution, and I actually do stand by that. But I think that there's a lot that we can begin to do now that doesn't put anybody at existential threat. There's a lot we can do, okay? And we need to start thinking long term. Our political systems are not built for long term. They're built for short term. Politicians are looking to win the next election, not for creating peace in the land 10, 20 years down the line, okay? So we need to understand that our political system is not built in a way to produce long-term solutions. It's a shame. This honestly almost strengthens the need for like a benevolent monarch or dictatorship. They might have the tools necessary because they're thinking long term. I'm not really advocating to get rid of our democracy. Don't take it that way. But if you want to find a benefit to monarchy, it's that. We need to start, first of all, on a government level, right? Our military presence in the West Bank causes quite severe harm to the Palestinians. Not just most of it's not even physical harm. It's emotional and psychological harm. Being controlled by a population that is not your own, by a force that is not your own, plays a psychological toll. It's humiliating. It's really like we need to really try to understand what it feels like to not be able to go to work without waiting at a checkpoint of people who don't speak the same language as you and don't treat you with respect. Like, we need to imagine what that feels like. Or what that feels like to not be subject to civil court if you get in some kind of trouble. Oh, you're under military court. Like, we need to understand what that feels like. And we need to understand that the Palestinian experience radicalizes the Palestinians. People ultimately are products of their environment, right? So it's often shown, we often look at Palestinian numbers, how many Palestinians support violent resistance, and many Israelis point to that as a sign that we can never have peace with our Palestinian neighbors. Yet it's our environment that brutalizes us. How can we change our environment? How can we change the environment of the Palestinian people so a generation is born that sees us as a neighbor, that recognizes our right to live here on this land? Now, we can't control all of it. Some of it's going to need to come from the Palestinian side, without a doubt. That's why I say it's going to take all of us. But if we make our military presence in the West Bank less felt, that is certainly a major first step. I call for removing the military and replacing it with a civilian force of highly trained. And when I say highly trained, it's not just training in combat, but I mean training in engagement. They need to know fluent Arabic. They need to be trained to engage Palestinians with dignity and respect. This force over time should begin to be a force of Israelis and Palestinians together. A dual peacekeeping force on the land, not a military force that is seen as foreign, but one that is just meant to keep the people safe. This is within the realm of possible, but the amount this idea is being talked about in politics is close to zero. That's on a political level. On a cultural level, we need to start to teach our citizens about the other. Israelis need to know the Palestinian narrative. We need to recognize the Palestinian struggle. We need to recognize the Nakba instead of deny its existence. We need to learn Arabic. We need to learn how to engage with Palestinians with respect. Individuals have the ability to change the face of the conflict.